Hello, and welcome to the Performance Bicycle Podcast. My name is Jeffrey, and I am the host here today. And with us, we have Ryan Oakes, Nicholas Wallace, and Jack Johnson. So we're just going to start off by giving a brief background of all of us and how our cycling journey has gone.
I can start us off, yeah. So my name is Ryan. I work here at Performance, and I'm the marketing manager. I've been riding bikes, like everybody since they were a kid, but I got more serious about it kind of around late high school age and got really sucked into road bike racing. So I've been doing that ever since I was about 16, 17 years old. Got the bike bug, and of course at this point do a lot of gravel and endurance riding and bike packing and mountain biking and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's me.
And then I'm Jeffrey. I'm the social media coordinator here at Performance Bicycle. And I originally got into cycling, mountain biking in high school. Shout out to the Norcal League. Got in through the NICA program, started mountain biking, then transitioned over to some more like road riding for training, got hooked into racing, just kind of took off from there and ended up here at Performance and just enjoy riding all the disciplines now.
I'm Nick, and I'm a product merchant here, Performance Bike. I've been real serious about biking probably since around halfway through high school or halfway through college is when I got really into like road riding. In high school, I used to commute and stuff, but so little while now of road riding, road racing, and more recently like more gravel and mountain biking. Just a lot of fun with that.
I'm Jack. I'm the marketing coordinator here. Been working here for about 3 years now. Got into bikes a lot later than these guys. I ran cross-country and track at Chico State here in town, and then got into bikes right at the end of my college career. So, but riding all the bikes now, and got them all in the garage, all kinds of them. But definitely influenced by working here a lot to get more into bikes. It's been a lot of fun.
Heck yeah.
Always good to transition from running to cycling.
Yeah.
So much better. We have so much more ground.
It is.
But okay, so that's just a brief little background of us here at Performance. We're going to go ahead and hop into the next segment, which is just going to be hot and new products. Recently, I'm sure as everyone has seen, SRAM has come out with what they dub the transmission group sets.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to go with them. They're dropping the derailleur hanger. Everything's direct mount. It's rather bulky, I would say. There's many different variations for it too. What are your thoughts on it, Ryan?
Yeah, they initially launched 3 tiers of the group set, and just last week or the week before launched kind of the approachable group set for everybody, the GX level. I agree, it's kind of got if you're talking aesthetics, a bit of a bulky look to it. That really heavily machined crank is very, it's got a certain style about it, I guess. I don't know. I'm obviously, here at Performance, we tend to be kind of a little more leaning toward drop bar bikes. So the application for us on this transmission is just exciting to see with the development of a lot of people using mullet setups on gravel bikes, how this is going to really affect that. And I've really yet to see a lot on that. I've seen little glimpses of people mulleting their gravel bikes with a SRAM transmission, but I think the sticky point is there are not a lot of brands yet doing that UDH, the universal derailleur hanger, that would allow you to run a transmission on a gravel bike.
Yeah, it's a relatively new thing, but like you said, there are people that are doing the mullet setup. We saw Keegan Swenson and various other athletes at Unbound doing it. So it is functional, obviously.
I was impressed with how many brands SRAM got to convert over the UDH hanger on one of their mountain bikes. So waited for some of the gravel and road bikes, but so that must have taken years in the making to get all of the even passion models carbon mold to accept the UDH.
Yeah,
the SRAM's had this in the works for a very long time.
And with that, do you think they're going to start converting road bikes over too? Like,
There was that bike that was leaked at the tour. What was the brand that had it? We saw a picture.
Ridley?
Yeah, it was a Ridley.
Oh yeah, Ridley.
With a Ridley with a UDH. Looks like it got leaked there. That could be really interesting.
Of the shifting under load could definitely apply to road bikes too. So
Yeah, I
could see that.
And just a whole different adjustment setup and the lack of need for kind of the limits and all this. There's, if you did it with a road intent, but brought a lot of that same technology over, I could totally see it applying.
I could see it happening, but I do see it happening maybe 3 or 4 years down the road.
Yeah.
Because with the whole mountain thing, they had all those years to get manufacturers over to
Right.
UDH. And right now, even new bikes that are being launched with big brands are not coming with the UDH.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if it was in the works soon, I would think that would already be happening.
I think a key point on that, and maybe to give SRAM some credit here, is when they started talking about UDH a few years back, they talked about it in the context of we're making a universal derailleur hanger. And the value for everyone here is instead of hundreds and hundreds of derailleur hangers for all these different brands and models, is we're all going to go to one. You know, we've kind of standardized this rear end spacing and, you know, all that stuff. So they said, hey, let's just make one derailleur hanger to roll them all. And I remember sitting there going like, yeah, why didn't anyone do this a long time ago? It was a long play though, because that was really priming the industry to, get transmission out there that requires these UDH compatible frames. So it may be more in our face when they decide to launch the road product, because we all kind of know what UDH is now. There's no kind of hiding it anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, because I read a few like stipulations that like, oh, this new red group set could be UDH, because there's probably a new red group set in the works right now. But I just think it's a little bit early for it to be UDH.
Yeah. Well, on the topic, I guess, that Ridley does have their kind of one of their newer carbon all-road models on their site is UDH compatible. So that's the first one that I've seen in production that isn't a dedicated gravel bike that is UDH compatible. So I think we're ways off probably, but it's probably a matter of time.
I do think with that though, more gravel bikes are going to be coming with the UDH in the future. Yeah.
That's where I'm surprised more aren't already though, because the brands knew the UDH was coming to the mountain bikes, but they didn't change their gravel bikes to accept that new mullet setup.
It makes me wonder if they weren't like forecasting that the mullet was going to become such a large thing.
Yeah. The only other thing I can figure is some of the brands really get into the nitty gritty with their spec. And with UDH right now, the only cassette options are truly that 10 to 52 range, which I've noticed a lot of the gravel mullet people are running the 1050. So you have that as one factor. And the 1050, the ramp up within that cassette is different than the transmission. So if someone was concerned about trying to prioritize maybe the higher gears, or was really getting into, measuring pedal cadence, how much time they spend in each gear, it may just be that the gearing on the current transmission stuff really is made for mountain, and it's not as good of a fit to cross over to gravel. And so these brands like, we'll just stick with 50. That's working great. I don't know. It could be something like that.
I'd say it's something to really look forward to, though. I mean, the developments that could come from this are pretty massive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just hope that they, at some point, standardize their chains a little more, because at this point, SRAM's got 3 different 12-speed chains going on.
Yeah.
And that's really confusing. We've got the like a classic 12-speed mountain chain. You've got the 12-speed flat-top road chain, and then the 12-speed flat-top T-type transmission chain, that's confusing.
It's too many.
Too many.
12-speed chains.
Get it down to one. I would love to see one 12-speed chain for everything.
Shoot, as it is with transmission, you need SRAM's app to determine how long your chain needs to be.
Yeah.
So chains right now in SRAM are a very funky thing.
Yep. Well, transmission is a big advancement as far as technology goes. And then next up on the list, we have the Specialized Power Expert Mirror Saddle, which just previously launched. They already have out the S-Works model and the Pro model, but there are a few differences with this new Expert lineup.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising. I think when we first saw the picture of those, it wasn't what we expected from the name.
Yeah.
We were thinking it was going to be fully 3D printed thing like the Pro model is, and to see it with it now has a cover on it, and the 3D printing is just really on 2 little pads around the sides. Yeah. So
I guess it's even in the language, how they described it in the title, right? It's called the Power Expert with mirror technology versus the Pro as a Power Pro mirror. So I guess we could have maybe,
They got me with that one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
So I wonder with that, are they even actually 3D printing it on the base of the saddle, or are they just like making a regular saddle, cutting out the little section of the foam, and then just dropping in the 3D printed section, and then covering it?
I'd lean toward that because the 3D printer one, I mean, we here at Performance, so our parent company is A-Main. We do a lot of RC, and one of our categories that we sell in our radio control division is 3D printers. So there's 3D printers probably printing in the office as we speak. And stuff that I've seen print, it's usually a continuous single print. And so those saddles, the Pro and the S-Works that have been 3D printed, I have to suspect that is one print that is then bonded onto a base plate. These, with the cover the way it's in there, I'm thinking they just kind of slid an insert in, almost like a chamois into a pair of bibs, you know? Like, it's just giving you, instead of using foam, you've now got this 3D printed, I don't know padding? That's what you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
Which, after I've been riding the Pro mirror for quite a while now, and I'm really enjoying it as far as like the different density of the padding all around the saddle. It's got a soft nose to it. I was a big fan of the Mimic one previously, and after going to the 3D printed one, I think I'm going to stick with it. So I am curious, like, how much better the sit bone padding will be on the Expert compared to the other, say, just regular power saddle.
Absolutely.
Because it does use that same technology.
And one of the things that people are really excited about with this one is it's the first time that Specialized has offered a 3D printed saddle in a 130 millimeter and also in a 168. So they offered a bigger range with 4 different sizes altogether. So some people, if you're committed to a 168 saddle and you haven't wanted to go to 3D printed because they don't have the right size for you, that this might be the saddle for that.
That's a very good point. Yeah. I do wonder then if that was a limitation of 3D printing to the Pro and the S-Works, as they just couldn't, the base for the printer couldn't handle that or whatever they're using. And now it's like, oh, we're printing this piece that goes in. It might actually allow, it might be why they're kicking on that far.
I would almost bet that it's more of a like cost reason.
Sure.
They were bringing out these 3D printed, like completely 3D printed saddles, and they are expensive.
They are.
The S-Works model is what, like $400, and then the Pro is like $350.
Yeah.
It's a very expensive saddle, so I'm sure they wanted to test the market before doing other sizes.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the 155 and the 143 are the most popular. So they might not want to put a bunch of investment into those other sizes until they know that they're going to do well.
Yeah.
Which could be why they're testing it out now on a cheaper version.
Yeah. So maybe we'll see those widths coming in.
Yeah.
If this saddle takes off in those widths.
Yeah.
What do you like about your 3D printed saddle that you're on the Power Pro right now?
The Pro. Yeah. I feel like compared to the Mimic one that I had previously, it has a soft nose to it. And then I think that's like the biggest thing for me. And I'm just a big fan of that like power short nose saddle because it allows you to get a little bit more forward on the saddle with a little bit less discomfort. And then I think just the padding in general is quite supple. I did a long ride, what we rode for like 14 hours a couple of weeks ago. And I will say like my butt was getting sore towards the end, but I'm sure all of ours were.
Yeah, 14 hours in, it's going to happen.
Compared to some of the other saddles that I've ridden previously, I just found that it worked very well for me.
Nice. I've been running a 3D printed physique saddle on my gravel bike. And, kind of some of the pros for me, it really, that open weave, there's air in there. And, breathability, especially in the summertime, is important. And one thing I've noticed is that you get a little bit of airflow through the saddle itself. So there is this kind of bit of additional airflow. I mean, when it's like it is today, 105 outside, and there's only so much you can do. And maybe that's a call in the wintertime, but
it's a whole nother marketing angle.
Yeah.
Like picture of your saddle with a little fan underneath or something. Try it.
What you it's like they include those turbulators on your socks or whatever. Now it's like an aerated saddle or something like that.
Yeah, totally. I do. The one thing I'm curious to see with 3D printed saddles as we go forward is the long-term durability of these because now you've got no cover, which could be a good thing depending on what the cover's made out of as far as durability goes, and you've eliminated any foam, which also could be a good thing as far as durability goes. But it may be a bad thing depending on how well it holds up. So, my guess is that we're going to get some really good life out of these things, and where you would break down foam more quickly and maybe loosen up a cover, you've eliminated the cover and the foam, which are two of the Harries that go out on the saddle the quickest.
So considering that like foam breaks out, I would almost imagine though that the whatever material that 3D printed is made out of, it will probably break down over time too.
I would have to assume so.
I don't know how long that's going to take, but I do imagine it will happen.
Yeah. Yep. If anyone who's held like basic at-home 3D prints of things, though, that I think it's like they use like an ABS of some variety. These saddles don't feel like that.
No,
they're not that hard plastic. They're definitely, rubbery is the wrong word, but it's something closer to like a silicone-esque or rubbery. There's definitely an elasticity to it. So if you haven't touched one yet, it's not just a hard piece of plastic. It is definitely. You could kind of hook into one of those little loops and pull on it and let go of it. It would probably spring back like a rubber band. It's got some give to it. So, yeah, it'd be a curious thing to see over the years.
Cool. And then the next thing up on the list, we have the Specialized Torch lace shoes. So I'm a fan of the look of lace-up shoes. It's kind of like original. I think you can dial in the fit a little bit more with the laces. There are a few downsides. Boas are always nice. They're super easy, quick. You can adjust them on the fly. But I think they're some damn good-looking shoes.
They are. You see Tade Pagacha wearing, I think he runs lace-up shoes from DMT. If a guy's, not this year, winning the runs, but save that the foreshadowing, I suppose. But this guy can be as successful as him in lace-up shoes. It's not holding him back.
Right.
To your point, I feel like myself, great aesthetically, but the ability to over the course of a day kind of adjust your fit with a boa dial is quite nice. If you change in altitude, the temperature changes, your feet swell and whatever else, it's kind of nice to, I tend to feel like I mind myself, the setting I set my shoes to when I kick off for my ride is not the setting they're going to be at the end of the ride. And laces, unless you're willing to pull over, untie, retie, you got to be pretty willing to run with that fit.
I'm a big fan of the bows. I put bows on all my shoes.
Yeah.
And I had the choice. So
even casual shoes?
Yeah, running shoes. Get rid of all laces and just all boas.
Heck, some clothing companies have started using a bow instead of a button now.
Yeah.
And a little cinch system. Or
perfect. Well, for you, why does someone choose a lace-up shoe over a boa shoe? What is someone picking this torch lace versus a regular S-Works torch?
So the way I look at it, Nick, you're a climber whenever it comes to riding. Do you ever care about having lighter shoes? Is that a big difference?
Not that big of a difference. I think, having a little bit of weight there would be nice, and it feels good to have light shoes. But I always choose comfort over everything else. So I'm looking for a shoe that is a nice fit.
Okay. See, I haven't actually tried them on, though. So I think I would have to put them on to really feel how comfortable they are.
Yeah.
Because there are times where, I over-cinch the boas and my feet go numb.
Right.
The boas have those hard, metal wires that have no give in them, whereas the laces are going to have a little bit of give.
Naturally.
So it will just probably be a little bit more comfortable, I would assume.
I suspect you're right. I think to Nick's point, it's easy to get down the rabbit hole, the weight thing. And you could argue, well, these shoes are rotational mass and blah, blah, blah. We could play that game forever. Silka's got 3D printed titanium cleats now for that very reason, right? That's a thing. But most of us ride our bikes every day, and we don't own a pair of shoes that we save just for going on, KLM hunting. We all ride our shoes all the time, and I like my stuff to be familiar, so I want it to fit well. I want it to be comfortable, just like you. And I do like the idea of the adjustability of a boa. I think maybe the selling point for Specialized on these shoes with the average consumer is you can argue the weight savings, but the reality is by eliminating 4 total boas, 2 per shoe, there's a cost savings.
Yeah.
So you're getting potentially the same level of shoe as a regular S-Works torch. You just don't have a BOA on there. And then they can say, yeah, it weighs less. Realistically, for most of us, I think we're picking it because it saves, what, $75 or something off retail? $100 on retail? That's compelling, you know? And they did a good job launching in a few different colorways as well. So you get a choice that...
Yeah.
The white always looks so clean, though.
It's true.
And this time they didn't put the big old, like, Specialized on the side or anything. It's just nice white.
White.
So crisp.
You know you're a roadie when you love white shoes.
Exactly. I think ultimately, though, you just need a BOA shoe and a lace shoe.
There you go.
Ultimate quitter.
Lace shoe for going to the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Coffee shop run.
That's the whole purpose. It's your hipster look shoe and it's your KOM shoe. Then you get your workhorse shoe that you can get dirty at night all day long. There you go.
That's the way to do it.
Yep. Okay, so I think that about wraps it up for new products this week. But the next section that we're going to hop on into is pronouncing professional riders' names.
Oh boy.
We'll start with Brian.
Dear goodness. All right, so the first one here, I'm sure Jeff will put these up on the screen later so you can see them. I think the tough thing for me is going to be like, we hear them all while you're watching the tour, but I don't necessarily know what the name written out looks like. But I suppose
there's some very familiar names in this list, and then some ones you don't hear very much in there.
You did a good job finding the obscure, the guy getting.
I just found the entire list of riders that started the tour this year and looked for the longest names, basically.
All right, well, the first one here, I think if I screwed this up, I would probably be fired. This is Jonas Vingegaard or Vingegaard or how that is. I feel like I've heard it a few different ways, but yeah, Vingegaard, yeah. And then one that, if I hadn't heard this before, I'd have no chance of pronouncing Tej Benut's name.
Yeah.
Right.
How's that one spelled? That one got me looking at it.
Oh, yeah, there's too many consonants that don't go together next to each other in that one. And then, we got, old Pogacar, Tadej Pogacar, something like that. Pogacar, yeah. Daniel Felipe Martinez Poveda, I think. Is it Colombian?
I forget. I think he was.
Poveda.
We could pass around to him.
Boy, yeah, all new on. Reading the hard stuff. So. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and.
All right, so now I get to take over. Okay, only because I've heard this name said on television, I would have no idea. Skelmos, I believe, Matthias Jensen, but that's because he's on Trek Segafredo. I know he's been in the tour. Like they've announced his name a couple times. I'm pretty sure it's Skelmos, his first name.
Well, it's not Segafredo anymore.
It's not Segafredo. No, it's Trek Lidl or Lidl
Trek.
Lidl Trek.
Or is it Lidl Trek?
Every time I hear him on the TV say that, I'm like, who's the little Trek?
Apparently, it's got a delay.
Skelmos.
He's the little Trek.
Skelmos is the little Trek rider. Yeah. Go ahead and describe.
Okay, how did we go? Down here, he just Skelmos. Okay. Oh gosh, I don't know if I even heard this one.
Yeah, give it a go. What you got?
Aureline Pentre. I'm so bad at French names. You're gonna try that one.
French is.
This was.
I did not take French in high school.
Same.
Ariline Pare Pientre.
I don't know. You can tell we all took Spanish because everybody's definitely kind of like has a managed pronunciation of these French words.
Then we got Harold Alfonso Tejada Canacu.
I feel like Harold does not fit in the other names.
And third, the last one here, had to throw in a good Matu Bergadeo. So I'm guessing how that last one is. Quite a few Matus in there, though.
Well, then circling back on that, how does everyone say Vingegaard? What, Jack, how do you do it?
I'd probably lean towards Vingegaard.
What I keep hearing Vingegaard is what I keep.
How it one's though.
It's like Vinigo, right?
Like Vine.
I don't. Is there a G at the front? Like
G in the middle. And there's definitely already yeah. So that would the
Yeah.
I probably know worse with Dane and I'm with friend, so instead of silent G.
Yeah, I feel like we need to phone an expert here.
Yeah, I think don't want a friend. And then like Tade or Tade.
I think it's Tade.
Tade.
Tade and
Tade.
I think it's Tade, right?
But again, we only watch the American stream usually. So
Yeah, it's just English speakers. And
Yeah.
Pojakar, Pogacha. I've heard multiple even syllables.
Tade Bogacha.
Tade, Pogacha,
That's how.
Pogacha, Pojakar.
Yeah, so that's how it looks when you read it.
Yeah.
It's,
Because he's gotcha.
Gotcha, Pogacha. He pogoed to the top of that climb.
I should just hear it.
He does not gotcha in this series.
So I think we established that we are not very good at pronouncing riders' names, but we have been watching the Tour de France. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit of this. How has it been going as far as you expected it to go, Ryan?
For me, this 2023 edition of the Tour has been one of the most exciting in recent memory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can get into like why or what, but just starting with that, the race dynamic, the racing from day one. I mean, it has been.
That's what got me was day one they were attacking each other, and I was like, hang on, 3 weeks of this is gonna be insane.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of that had to do with just the route that they were doing this year too, and like how much climbing they had.
Yes,
I mean, there's only been 4 real sprint days. Like,
totally.
hasn't
I
been
feel like
much like just swept it.
So yeah,
I mean, a few elbows here and there and a few line changes.
right. Man, yeah. If you question,
Depends who you ask on that.
Exactly.
well, then what's since it got started early on that topic? Traditionally, the Tour starts off with the prologue time trial. And the reasoning for these prologue time trials is to establish an initial GC order to make the racing a little bit safer. Because if you roll into stage 1 and all bets are off, the playing field is completely level, somebody realizes that stage 1 equals a yellow jersey. And there's a lot, and everybody's fresh, everybody's trained up for it. They're not 2 weeks into the Tour. What do we think about not having a prologue this year?
I love it. I mean, it just makes for very exciting racing.
It does.
The Yates brothers 1-on-1-2 on stage 2.
Yes, on 2.
Yeah,
Stage 1?
Was that stage?
That was stage 1.
That was a pretty good race at the Tour, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
To see 2 brothers go.
2 climbing brothers.
Yeah. And the games they were playing with each other on different teams, leaning into the finish was like really, really exciting.
Yeah. I have to imagine the riders might not agree because there was also a lot of crashing that first stage. We lost some important riders in the Tour kilometers into the first stage.
I believe like Carapaz crashed out that first day.
Yeah.
There's quite a few, like bigger names, like GC favorite. Maybe not favorites, but like
All the lists. GC riders for their team.
Yeah.
EFGC rider was gone like 50K in stage 1.
Yeah,
The one person I think that benefited though was Nielsen Paulus having some more freedom to go for some KOM points, which was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really release like their plan for the Tour necessarily ahead of time.
Well, I think it changed.
I feel like that. I feel like that was probably in the plans to begin with.
2 hours.
To a point.
2 hours in there playing.
We're going to go to, that wasn't even maybe plan A, B, or C. That's just like, we need to make up an entirely new plan. Well, Nielsen's up the road. So, yeah. Speaking of Nielsen, we're all big fans.
Mm-hmm.
Nielsen, we're based, Performance is based here in Northern California. We're out of Chico. And if you don't know, Nielsen is from about an hour and 15 minutes away in Roseville, California. So feels a little bit like kind of hometown hero, hometown boy, as well as like my coming up racing. I've raced with Nielsen at least a few times that I can recall. Well, as I raced with him, he was usually, well off the front while the rest of us were kind of back in the normal person world. But pretty fun to watch this Tour this year.
When I was talking to my my cross country coach from Chico State past couple of weeks, and Nielsen and I are pretty much close to the same age. And he found in his notes from recruiting years in the past that he was recruiting Nielsen the same year I graduated high school to cover a run at Chico State. So, but I'd say he made the right choice.
Going for on the bike.
But it would have been we would have overlapped years at Chico State. It was kind of funny to think about.
That.
And I was off living in Europe.
Yeah.
Wearing a polka dot jersey in the Tour de France. So
TV time.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, he held on to it for quite a while. Until like stage 16, 15, somewhere. Yeah.
They had it, and you lost it for a day.
Yeah, just a day. Didn't
Yeah, whack. I had at least 10 days in it then.
We were kind of hypothesizing that, Nielsen is, I mean, it's the climber's jersey, and he's not a climber.
He can climb well.
He can climb well, but he's not a climber. Nielsen was sweeping up the jersey because, one strategy is to get in the breakaway and sweep up those intermediate points. And he just kind of got an early lead and maybe too many days in the breakaway in a row. And it's a lot of energy to be out front for 150 days with, 1, 2, 3 other guys and having to go for these points. Because, I mean, those first few days when he was in the jersey, we saw him. He was actively celebrating coming through, sitting it out, and
every single one.
I mean, he had arms in the air and clapping, and he seemed like he was having a good time. It was definitely fun to watch.
There was also plenty of stages where you could tell he was hurting too, though.
Yes.
And I'm sure some of it was like knowing like you got to conserve for some of the bigger days, and like I just got to drop out of the group today so I can like have an easier day to be better off the next day or something.
Right.
I mean, it's the Tour de France. It's not easy to do.
Yeah, I think our expectations get skewed with how dominant the top riders are nowadays.
Yes.
Or they're at the top of the mountains in the first group every single day.
Yeah.
That's almost what's expected now.
Yeah. So that's the climbing jersey. How about, let's say, like the green jersey? Going into this, I can't say that I had any specific rider that I thought would walk away with it. I assumed that Mads Pedersen would be one of the top contenders, which he still is like a top contender. He had one finish, one win, but it seems like Philipsen's just like walked away with it.
Yeah. I haven't done the math, but I don't know if there's even enough points left for anyone else to. I think like he has it.
When they offer that many points for winning stages,
I
do.
Yeah.
He has 4 wins,
I believe he has.
as of now. Or
And is it 4 in a row, or is it 3 in a row?
And we're at what stage?
I think it was only
19 to literally just. Yeah. I haven't watched the stage today, but yeah, we're at stage 19. So I mean, it's funny to look at the green jersey list, and I guess this always happens, but it feels a little maybe different than usual for me this year. Is kind of in the top few. You actually have the 2 main GC guys in the green jersey competition, just from their stage victories, picking up enough points for those spots, or their times up the road where they rolled through a sprint point. No chance of winning it, and no care to win it, but it is like.
I'm going to say it had been 2 years ago now when Tade won. I think he won the yellow jersey. Then I obviously won the white jersey too, being in that group. I think he also won the polka dot jersey and was close to winning the green jerseys as well. Yeah. So just like this level of riders now is just insane that they can do everything. And
I think a lot of that just comes down to like how the sprint points are gotten though, because there's so many like intermediate sprints on hilly days.
Yeah.
Where you got to be able to climb in order to get to the sprint.
Well, I have to suspect too that the race organization is having to adapt their courses now to kind of this, current generation of rider. They probably typically, I'm just, guessing here, set the course with the idea of like, there is a dedicated green jersey contest. There's a dedicated climbers contest. There's a dedicated GC contest. But the reality is these guys on GC right now are racing so differently than prior generations and prior eras. They are high up in all the other contests. It's not unheard of, but it is like kind of like, it wouldn't be surprising to see a GC rider wearing, or on paper wearing all 4 jerseys. Like they're young, they're the best overall time, they're taking sprint points and winning stages, and because of that, they're going up all the climbs faster than anyone else. It's like, that is possible.
I am slightly disappointed Van Aert decided not to go for green this year. I think he easily could have gotten it. He's very consistent in the sprints. Even with not winning all the sprints, I mean, just sweeping up all the intermediate points, I think he could have taken it.
Yeah, but speaking of the green jersey, or sprint jersey, I guess, was seeing Cavendish crash out after everything. And the day before, being like a bike length away from getting the record. It was now stuff.
Bike length because of a potential mechanical, that was really sad.
Potential deviation there as well. Yeah. Tough to make that.
And knowing the form that he's on right now, seeing his performance at the Giro, the guy, I mean, is he 38 now? Like, he's on the cusp of the end of a career, and he's on the cusp of this record-breaking thing, and it's become quite the drama of like, will Cav come back? And, a broken collarbone and training to have a team willing to take you to the tour again, to just sweep up at least one stage. It is, with the dry spell that Cav had for so long, it's a big ask.
Yeah, was it last year he won a couple stages again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 years
2 years ago.
ago.
2 years.
Yeah. Because that was,
Last year, Quickstep decided not to take him.
yeah,
That was they thought it was a bold move on their part.
that was focusing on Jakobsen, right? And working for him instead of Cav, which Jakobsen's he looked okay in the beginning of the tour, but until he kind of crashed out and had a rough window.
Snapped his bike in half.
Yeah, usually that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he started the next day, but then he just kind of went downhill. Like,
He did.
if you broke your bike in half, you're usually your body's probably pretty beat up. Yeah. That was that wild course they set with all the windy, twisty stuff coming into the finish, and there were just crashes upon crashes upon crashes. Inside the last 3K, I feel like there were probably 4 crashes. Oof.
I mean, there's always a bunch of crashing, but I feel like this year in particular, there's been a lot of crashes.
Yeah.
Guys just going for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to is the race organization, prioritizing making the race exciting and putting the riders in danger, or are the riders having to take extra risks because there's kind of the rules have changed, so to speak. Like there's riders that aren't just GC and just sprinters. Everybody's kind of everybody now. So I feel like we're relearning our own sport.
Yeah.
How long before we do see someone sweep up all 4 jerseys?
If you're one of the 2 guys at the top of the race right now, I think we're the only contenders, really.
If you had Findigo go and like Pogacar was not in that tour, like if there was a tour where both of them aren't there,
That would be
that like
yeah.
if one of them decides to go for the Giro or go for the Vuelta next year instead of the tour,
But then you throw Evenepoel in there. You think Evenepoel can compete with those guys?
Well, we get to see it, really. I'm curious. They're going to send him to the Volta, right?
Yep. He won it last year.
He won it last year, so the tour is a different race, and we haven't really seen a battle between Evenepoel. Granted, I mean, Quickstep's performance, well, until yesterday, I guess, at this year's tour has been lackluster, and most of the season's been pretty lackluster. Evenepoel being kind of their one holdout of like securing some decent results. And I can't imagine that they don't want to take him to the tour at some point.
Yeah. There was a bunch of like skepticism about after he pulled out of the Giro earlier with COVID that he would potentially do the tour, because he only got to do a couple days and he was in the jersey too. Like he was leading it.
Yeah.
So I think at some point, probably within the next couple of years, he'll be at the tour.
I would hope so. Like, unless the team roster changes dramatically, they really don't have maybe they don't think they have the team to domestique for a GC rider or something like that. Which, I mean,
Yeah.
they're notoriously a classics team, and you need Rafferty, Climbery guys to help a GC rider out. On that topic, I feel like historically in the last couple of tours where Pogacar's done really well, he's been not solo, but near solo, and this year it seems like UAE has brought a really deep squad to support him.
I think Yates has done a great job.
Yates, this is Yates' first year on UAE or second year?
I believe his first year.
Yeah, that's a huge addition there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been really, really good to see, and is pretty well placed in GC as well.
Because I think he's third right now.
Yep.
So they'll potentially could have 2 guys on the podium at the end.
Yeah.
Which is pretty big.
Great result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any chances he jumps Tade if Tade doesn't make it back tomorrow? I don't know how far down he is right now.
If Tahe were to end up like having a bad day and cracking, they would not continue to support him and go for Yates.
Race radio in the other day where GC stuff changed. You heard over the race radio from the team of like Yates, protect your third, ride for yourself, and they kept Mikel back with Tade to protect him. So it was definitely split strategy, not all in on one. So they're on the cusp of being like releasing Yates because
I don't think at any point they'll have Yates like attack to try and make up time and get second.
Right.
But I think that
Right.
Ryan can serve his spot as well.
If Toddy cracks as hard as he did again,
Yeah.
could see it happen.
Yeah.
Which I think could be a big push from Carlos Rodriguez from Ineos, who's in fourth, to try and put them in that position.
100%. Yeah. Because it forces Lotto to change their strategy. And they just lost
Van Aert.
Van Aert. Van Aert just went home the other day. His wife's pregnant and went into labor. And I figured he must have just checked the time clock and be like, you're pretty fully been good. I don't think they had it. Yeah, exciting. But yeah, I mean, one less rider for Vingo. It would force a different strategy than they've been playing. I mean, granted, Tish Benut has looked great this whole tour. Sam Koos has looked great this whole tour. Maybe a little off his form is what's the Frenchman on the team on Lotto? I know I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's been dropped a few times, and Laporte.
Oh, Laporte, yeah.
Laporte, yeah. He's not that he looks bad, but maybe he hasn't been what we saw last season out of him.
Yeah, I mean he's a bigger guy though too, so I'm sure he's still putting in a ton of work on the flatter stuff.
Right.
He's just not quite a climber.
Not really making the TV coverage.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
I'm sure he's still riding incredible.
Yeah. Wouldn't doubt it.
But so with that, there was a few new kits launched for the tour. A couple different like white kits. Bahrain Victorious came out with a white kit, as did Movistar.
Movistar did a special tour kit.
Yeah. I was hoping that EF would do another like limited edition.
Yeah.
They do that one with like Palace skateboards. They've done a couple times before.
And that's for the Giro though.
Oh, was that for the Giro?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope to see that again. Those are always super.
I've been more impressed with the colorways of the bikes this year.
Yeah.
There's some really cool looking bikes. And the Madone they've been riding.
Oh yeah, Pedersen is on.
Pedersen's like not quite oil slick, but like fully like a bike almost. So the new Madone was like a pretty sweet.
Quinn Simmons was on one too. All chrome looked very like Terminator.
Had some of the red, white, and blue because of the national championship.
Yeah.
Been a little bit of new gear. I don't think there's been too many like unleaked products in the tour yet, as far as like
that rule change has kind of affected it a little bit. You're having the unreleased stuff out there. We think there's all sorts of bikes coming down the pipe, and we're not seeing them at the tour, and kind of scratching our heads since like I think they're not allowed to run them.
Yeah, interesting. I'm sure we'll see them in the near future though.
I would suspect so.
And then, so that about wraps it up for the tour and what's going on. Let's go ahead and get into what's going on here at Performance. So we do have a few things in the pipeline. Currently, if you have ever shopped with us, I'm sure you've seen that we sell specialized products, specialized shoes, helmets, any sort of equipment. But we are going to start getting into some specialized bicycles now. Do you want to explain on that a little bit, Ryan?
Yeah, we've been a dealer of Specialized now for quite some time. We have a local brick and mortar bike shop here in town. If you're ever in town, come check it out. It's a great shop, really fun place. And we sold Specialized bikes over at that bike shop, but we've always just been limited to selling the equipment, wheels and tires and saddles from Specialized on our website. But recently, we were able to have some conversations with them, and so now we'll be selling the bicycles online as well, which we're super excited about. You've only been able to get them so far from Specialized's own website, direct to you, the consumer. Now you should be able to pop on our website and take your pick at what we got and buy one from us. And if you need a goo while you're at it, or maybe a nice performance branded t-shirt or something else to go with it besides just what Specialized sells, come check us out, especially if you're in the greater kind of Northern California region. Will be that stuff we fulfill. Typically the order will make it out the door same day. 99% of orders do, and it'll ship to you usually within a day if you're just use the least expensive shipping method. So be really fast.
Yeah, we're very excited to hop on into this. Should be big things to come.
So excited that Jeff's even got a new tarmac on the way. I've got a tarmac on the way. Nick, we're gonna be getting you a bike here shortly too.
Yeah, big things. So that's more content for you guys to consume here shortly.
Yeah. already some content out there. I'm sure we'll link to it in the video here, but we've got did a big review of the new Specialized Diverge, the STR version. So if you want to learn more about that bike and what it's all about, we've got a video somewhere. Jeff will add a thing for
right
it.
up here.
Right up there. There'll be a thing for it.
So the next thing up on our list right now, we have the Mammoth Grand Fondo, which we're going to be heading down and having a booth at the registration, as well as participating in the event.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain this a little bit, Jack?
Yes, we'll be at the packet pickup at Footloose Sports on the Friday, I believe.
Yeah.
September 7th, I think, the day before the event. On the booth there, we're pretty excited about. We'll always have stuff to give away. We'll have like a tubeless demonstration going on for road tires, which we're excited about. Hopefully gets people converted over to tubeless tires and just sort of debunk some of the myths that have been talked about it and some of the difficulty we'll have with it, and spread the word about how much we love tubeless.
Yeah. So if you're at Mammoth Grand Fondo and you have any questions regarding tubeless, make sure to stop by the Performance Bicycle booth, and we'll do our best to answer any questions and give you plenty of examples to ease your mind.
Or if you just want to come see us and say hi, let us know you saw this video if you're out there and you watched it. And
also up on our list, we have a stage race in Tahiti coming up, September 18th through the 23rd. It will involve 8 stages, including an individual time trial, as well as a team time trial. And for our Performance Bicycle team, me and Ryan will be going to race with guests EJ and Mitch, who have made appearances on the NorCal cycling YouTube scene. So, do you want to talk a little bit about this, Ryan? We have done it before.
Yeah, we're really pumped on it. We had the opportunity to go race this tour in Tahiti last year. Nick went with us. We brought another guy, and it was a really fun, really cool, unique experience. Aside from the racing itself, I mean, the cultural experience was awesome. The people were awesome. The race promoters were fantastic. We can't say enough about the event, and we've been fortunate enough to get the opportunity to go back again this year. So we're really excited to go in a little bit better prepared, knowing kind of how the race unfolds and what to expect a little bit. I think we're hoping to come home with some good results, just by being kind of aware of what we're getting ourselves into.
So a little bit of a backstory. Last year, this race happened, it was like Halloween through like the first week of November.
Yeah.
Very, very late season. We were all kind of out of it. I mean, just making excuses here, but
I was out of shape.
yes, yeah. We were not super prepared for it.
Yeah.
But this year it is earlier September, which is more in our general race season. So we are going to be a little more prepared going into it, which hopefully should result in better results.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to shoot for some green jersey, but potentially sprint jersey, and good stage results.
The heat and the humidity there, a big factor, I think, being in September, here in Northern California, like we mentioned earlier, it's 105 today. It's regularly very hot here. So it's not that hot in November for us, and we did not have good heat acclimation. I think this year we'll have a lot better heat acclimation going in, which would be helpful, and still tail end of the season legs instead of off-season legs.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be much better. But like you said, like the humidity is so bad over there.
Yeah.
We're just not used to that over here in California.
No.
I mean, that like the first day that we raced last year was probably like 75 degrees, but the final climb, the humidity must have been 90%.
Yes, just suffocating.
And I died on the final climb, just so bad. But that was the only sunny day we had. The rest, it absolutely dumped on us. So
it's another bonus we're looking forward to this year, being in November. That's the beginning of their rainy season, being down there in the southern hemisphere in this little island country. So September is kind of their, I guess, kind of coming out of their winter. So it's like their spring, I guess. It's not as rainy. They really don't have seasons there. It's rainy season or dry season, but it's supposed to be drier. So we're looking forward to not having races canceled. Racing out rain every day.
But it's super cool to be racing on an island. A lot of the race, you're right on the coastline, so you just get like one view of the beautiful, just vast ocean, because you're pretty much in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing around there. Yeah. And then the other portion is just some lush green tropical forest. So really incredible.
Yeah. And we are excited to get to take EJ and Mitchell with us. They're kind of chomping at the bit, newbie racers, a lot of excitement, a lot of motivation there. So it'd be fun to get to kind of show them the ropes and see how we can help them get some results. So anticipate we're going to be collaborating with those guys a little bit on the lead up, that we'll try and kind of share our preparation for the event. And of course, we're going to document the whole event as well.
Yep. Sweet. Well, that about wraps it up for today's episode. If you guys have any questions that you would like to see us answer on this podcast, feel free to leave a comment down below, and we'll see if we can get to them next week. So, thank you guys for viewing, and this is Performance Bicycle.